Hey, Pat and Doug here again with another episode of the Wealthy Gym Owners. And today we're going to talk about the differences between done for you and done with you versus do it yourself. So let's get to it. Doug, kick us off.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat through this topic today because I think we've seen a shift as far as there's been I think the entrepreneur in general has this mindset that they want to do it all themselves, right? Just do it yourself, do it yourself, do it yourself. We see that with hiring and delegating and getting things off your plate. But I think there are certain aspects of this business that, depending upon your strengths, depending upon your personality, it may be advantageous to look at done for you and maybe how to best optimize that within the business. So excited to unpack it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting because I think I've been involved in iterations of all three for almost the entire time I've been in this industry. And I think the done for you side of it, we're kind of slow to adopt it compared to a lot of people. I mean, if you think about tax planning, for example, I mean, they're like TurboTax, or we go to H&R Block, or hey, I've actually got a CPA that I work with and I'm proactive about. And so I think that we're familiar with it through that lens, right? Like we're familiar with that. But now I think so many people in our industry have gotten into it's kind of become a prerequisite that you have to market. Whereas 15 or 20 years ago, a lot of people would be pretty haphazard about marketing. They'd they'd work on referrals, word of mouth, run some Groupon type stuff. And so they didn't necessarily need to have a consistent kind of marketing engine in place in order to be competitive or at least solvent. But now the landscape has changed. I mean, the competition is pretty robust. There are dozens of franchise training gym options. There are really competitors in every market. And I mean, it used to be maybe if you were in a metro area, there was a lot, but if you were in a town of under 100,000 people, a lot of times it was pretty sparse. So now everybody recognizes they have to market. Everybody's dabbling in social media. They're dabbling in running ads. They know they need a Google business listing. So because of that, I think that the awareness is high enough that people are saying, okay, I've tried to do it myself a little bit. So maybe either I start with this kind of really low level of I'm going to pay somebody to provide me content every month and templates every month. And then the next tier up is I'm going to have somebody maybe guide me and set up a couple things. And then the top end tier is, hey, I'm just going to pay somebody else to do it. But frankly, that top end, I think a lot of people run into problems because maybe they have a client who is a member of their gym who runs an ad agency or something like that, but doesn't really have any experience in the fitness industry. And so it's like, well, hey, I know what you do. I'm a member here. And so they try that and they're paying the price associated with a local ad agency and they're not getting the results they want. Or they get bought into one of these kind of one size fits all things in our industry where it's high volume, large group training focused, and there's just not much in the way of customization. So it's still not really delivering the outcome they want. So, I mean, I think that people have been all over the board and it's been interesting to watch how it's evolved. But I mean, I'd be curious about your own experience. I mean, obviously, you've owned a seven-figure gym. You're going through a pre-sale now. You coach our best business owners in boardroom. And so many of these guys making a real jump in our Project 500 program. Like, what are you seeing?
I think so if we break it down, like do it yourself first is you're doing everything yourself. And most of this comes back to the marketing piece, right? Because that generally is the area of the business that stereotypically, most gym owners it's not their favorite thing to do. It's last on the list, etc. And the do-it-yourself stuff with that, I personally would focus on we only have so much time, allocate your time in that category to things like the business visits, the local community things, right? I mean, setting up raffles at local businesses, visiting the businesses with gift baskets. If there's a local event you can get to, like that is really hard for somebody to come in from the outside and do for you. And since we only have so much time, and most of the time, our strength is like face to face, right? If we're running a brick and mortar gym, we excel. We started training clients face to face. Everything is face to face. So I would say, like, if I'm going to allocate anything in the do it yourself category, it's probably going to be that. And then we do see a lot of people, I would say, I don't say stall, but spend a lot of time in the done with you. And the done with you category, the way I would think about that is like, we're giving you templates and tools, and then it's up to you to implement, right? So maybe we give you some marketing ideas, maybe we give you a marketing plan, and then it is up to you to execute. And I kind of see really two types of clients that maybe ideal situations of both, right? So in an ideal, done with you would be you have the plan and you go execute the plan. Just like the client, you give them a program and they go execute the program. The reality is we know that only a small percentage of clients actually execute the plan, right? And so I think it comes back to if that's something you enjoy, then and you like spending time on it, I'm a firm believer you're going to spend the most time in your week as a gym owner on the things that you like. Even though you know you should be doing these other things, if you don't like them, you're going to find a way to put those last. And so we have folks in our Project 500 group and our boardroom group that are in that done with you category. Like they run their own stuff, they send out their own things, and they just take our templates and modify them. But I would say they enjoy that. Like that's a big part of their passion. And that's a smaller percentage. The done for you is just basically the way I always looked at it with my gym is anything that I don't like to do, I'm going to try to pay somebody that I know there's somebody. And this is sometimes a mindset shift. Like you don't think there's people that like doing the things that you don't like doing, but there are people out there that love, like we're working with a guy right now that like nerds out with like setting up tech and setting up the ads and analyzing click-through rate and frequency and all these things that like, yeah, I can have a basic understanding of it, but this dude spends 40, 50, 60 hours a week nerding out about this stuff. There's no way I'm going to be as good at it as him, right? So those are the things that I would look at, and I see our clients kind of go to with I'm just going to let you do it. I'll maybe have my pulse on it. I'll look at it from a 30,000 foot view. I'll have input on strategy, but I'm not going to take up a large chunk of my bandwidth on things that I don't like to do.
Yeah, the things that we do it yourself. I mean, I am 100% on board with what you're talking about. And what's great about that, the internal marketing, the referral stuff, the client upgrades, so a lot of relationship oriented stuff, the community stuff. Those are also things that I think shorten the sales cycle, maybe more than anything else that we could ever do online. So we can control that. We can move the needle on that. It's something that really, I don't want to say only we can do, but only we can do at that level probably. But yeah, I think the done with you, the other challenge with a lot of done with you is I think a lot of people try to get out on the cheap, right? They're like, hey, I'll pay $67 for some package of stuff every month that doesn't represent my brand, it's designed to be pretty generic because they're casting big nets, right? And there are people in every market that offer this. So it's not like exclusive to one provider or two providers, and there have been as long as I've been doing it. It's the interesting thing was, I remember years ago, there was somebody who sent like a templated email newsletter, and it was like, hey, just send your people this and everybody gets the same thing. And I would ask people, I'm like, so you do this, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so the person that sells this to you, did they send a templated email newsletter? They're like, well, no. I'm like, right, because they use the thing that converts at a higher level. And people, they try to cheap out and spend as little as they can, and then they deploy it verbatim. They don't customize it at all to fit their message, their brand, their market. They don't interject their own stories. They don't do any of that. And so it really makes their marketing efforts watered down. I almost feel like that's like the worst case scenario, right? Because there's not much authenticity to it, but it's the one that is the most cookie cutter of all. So it's like, man, even if you're going to do something where you're borrowing templates or whatever else, and mind you, we provide all sorts of templates and examples for people through coaching programs. It is incumbent upon you to make it your own. And I know we're speaking largely to independent training gym owners. Like your advantage against the franchise kind of one size fits all options is to be unique, to be a category of one, to be better, to differentiate yourself. And so you don't want to just relinquish that out of the gate. And then I would tell you the thing that I see people kind of miss the mark on the done for you side is it's almost like hiring somebody to avoid dealing with a session or something like that. It's like, I am hiring to escape. And same thing with an agency. It's like, no, like you want somebody who's really good at this, but you still want to make sure that it is representative of your message, your brand, and somebody can infuse that into everything that they're putting out. Or else the advantage you have as an independent business owner largely disappears.
Yeah. The thing I might double down on here is like, as you're deciding, don't forget to focus on the actual results. I think a lot of our owners focus on in the beginning, which rightfully so, there's a lot to focus on. It's overwhelming, etc. You're like, I just got to get all this stuff done, right? I got to post on social. Okay, I'm going to boost a post. So I'm running ads, right? Like they're checking boxes that they're doing things, but it's not actually moving the needle. So a training example would be like, let's say you design the most amazing program, you're in the best gym in the world, you got the best equipment, but the client never gets results. And then there's Susie over here who just cut her calories and is doing 10,000 steps a day and she's getting results, right? Like at the end of the day, it's about the result you're getting. And when it comes time to marketing and most of business, it's making sure, aside from the softer side of relationships are strong and all that stuff, we have to have an ROI on this stuff, right? There has to be a positive ROI. So that's a lot of times what I'm looking for if I can get a positive ROI on something done for you, I mean, it's a win-win. Like we'll have a gym owner spend $1,000 on a piece of equipment, but not spend $1,000 on advertising. And that advertising might bring in 3 clients with a lifetime value of $3,000. They just spent $1,000 to get $9,000. And so if you can think about it like that, how much are we losing by trying to do something that's not a strength of ours, just checking the box, not measuring the result? And so there's a lot of time spent on it with not a lot of result, as opposed to having somebody do it that is good at it and can get us a result. I realize there's cash flow and all that fun stuff to take into account with those decisions. But at the end of the day, if it gives us a positive ROI in the long term, it's what's going to grow the business.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that was probably spot on. To be fair, some of it's just like, okay, I wasn't doing this, and so now I am doing this with some consistency. But the reality is the result is what matters. There's not like a universal marketing strategy everybody has to adhere to. There's what works to get you the outcome you want. And I think that it is people who sell services, we probably are cognizant of that from the provider standpoint, but also as a consumer. I mean, you have to think about that as well. Like, okay, am I getting the outcome I want? Whether it's doing it myself, am I borrowing things and adapting them to say, okay, I am sending out a newsletter, I am posting on social. Well, I mean, ultimately, are we generating clients? Are we generating revenue? Are we doing those things profitably? If so, then it's a win. And maybe we turn up the volume on the things that we're doing. And if not, then we probably have to go back to the drawing board. So I mean, Doug, you're neck deep in this stuff right now with a grand opening. So what would you steer like, let's say we're talking about gym owners who are doing 15 to $25,000 a month. What would you steer them towards in the right maybe mix of these three types of approaches?
Yeah. So I would basically run the play that we're doing right now, which is we are ourselves with this grand opening doing all the grassroots stuff. Like I mean, Josh went up to Costco and bought a bunch of goodies and put some gift baskets together himself and started dropping them off to local businesses to introduce himself and let's kind of start to spread the word of the new business coming to town. So all of that grassroots stuff versus kind of done with you for our example would be emails. Like we're sending out email campaigns, we're reaching out putting out press releases, all of that stuff. I'm definitely using the whole, like, here's a template, let me modify it, right? I'm not starting from scratch. And then as far as like advertising, digital advertising, that is completely done for us. Like I'm not going to touch that. It's not something that I have a strength in. It's not something I pretend to be good at. And so we've always said, like, if you can I personally think any brick and mortar can get to 10K just with hustle, right? 10K a month, just good training, word of mouth, maybe make sure your clients are asking for referrals, doing some local JV stuff, et cetera. You can get to 10 or 12K a month. If you want to go 15 to 25, oftentimes that's when you need to introduce some type of paid advertising strategy. Nowadays, most of that is Meta, Facebook, Instagram. And we're seeing a lot like of gyms that are not having to spend a ton, relatively speaking, right? Like if you think, I remember when I first got into the industry, to get like a half page of the newspaper used to be like $800 to $1,000, right? And this was 15 years ago. So I don't even know what it is now. It might even be cheaper because newspapers were out. But my point is, if you wanted to do like advertising back then, $1,000. You wanted to do mail drops or any of the flyer, like print flyers, that has a printing cost associated to it. And so if we can allocate $1,000, $1,500 a month, generally like 10% of your marketing of your revenue. So if you're doing 15K a month, $1,500, you're doing 20K a month, $2,000. That's kind of a good earmark for, with that amount, you should be able to spend 10, 20, $30 a day, plus have somebody that's the expert kind of calling the shots behind the scenes with the platforms and get an ROI on that. So that's what we're doing. We're doing paid ads. Somebody else is running that and then doing the grassroots stuff ourselves.
Well, I think that's probably as good a straightforward blueprint as somebody could have. I don't really have a whole lot to add to it because I think sometimes we need to be told, like, what should this look like? What should the mix look like? How much should I be spending? Because it's just not something that kind of comes inherently with your certifications or your degrees in exercise science or whatever else. So no, I think that's a really sound blueprint to follow. And so if you are under that 10 or 12K a month, then double down. If you're not getting the volume of new leads through the door, new people experiencing what you do, then there's probably more you can do without coming out of pocket very much. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't spend on gift baskets and gift cards and that sort of thing. But as far as paid ads, but then once you get past that, I don't know. I mean, I guess the thing that I would say as an addendum, I just have always thought about people that are service providers, whether it's an accountant or somebody running an ad. I mean, we talk about hiring help internally all the time. Hey, I need an admin or I need another coach. Well, I mean, this is help, but frankly, for the impact they have, it's probably pretty high ROI help. So yeah, I think that you spelled out that and what somebody can invest really well. So obviously, if you're watching this, listening in, and have questions about any of this stuff, need any guidance on, hey, what's the right mix for me? Where do I fall in this continuum? Do you have recommendations? Shoot us a message. I know you can email me at pat@rigsby.com. reply, connect with us on social media. It doesn't matter. We're happy to help because, I mean, we understand it's kind of a murky area that nobody really spells out what the right kind of framework for you integrating the mix of done, do it yourself, done with you, done for you into your business. So that's Doug and Pat signing off another episode of Wealthy Gym Owners.